We're back.
Yes.
We disappeared for just a little bit. Sorry. Life is proving to be very demanding right now of our time. So we're gonna record a couple episodes tonight and then record a couple next week, just so we have a little bit to kind of help us out through the holiday season. We hope you guys had a good Turkey Day. If you celebrate, if not, that's cool. We got to see my cousin from Panama, South America. I hadn't seen her in about 10 years. She's a beautiful person. I want to go and visit her at some point for like a vacation. Would be nice. Casey is tired. He has been working. I had a few days off, fighting off, I think it's allergies. Maybe. That's why I'm wearing these. So if I look funny, mind your business.
They stop pollen.
No, I have a headache. And for those of you listening, I have some blue light glasses. Some people say they don't work. Some people swear by them. However, I personally...
Look like you're stuck in the 70s.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Besides that, but they actually do things for me. So, I'm wearing them. So, can't stop looking at myself when I know that you're looking at me, watching my anime eyes. A lot's happened in life recently. Jason, Dave, and Frank has unfortunately passed. Kevin Conroy has passed.
I'm not making faces at them.
No. Was it you and I having this conversation not too long ago about, like, our childhood heroes are at the age now where they're starting to pass on, like Hagrid and Kevin Conroy and things like that? Well, I was talking about that with someone the other day, and then Jason, Dave, and Frank happened, and I feel so terrible about that. I used to be in the Ranger scene back in the day.
I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers.
I was a huge Power Rangers fan, specifically the Yellow Ranger. I was always the Yellow Ranger. And, yeah, it's super sad and super depressing. He did, trigger warning, he did take his own life, which is super sad in itself. You know, so. But yeah, so for all of you guys that are healing from one of our childhood heroes passing on, I hope you're okay. And if you're not, feel free to reach out. Do you know anything about doppelgangers?
Other than the one that I had in high school.
You actually had one? See,
The weird thing is, like, him and we had talked on multiple occasions. Even became friends over it, but neither one of us could see it. But everybody swore we looked the exact same. But when we looked at each other,
right,
we didn't look anything like each other.
I've never come across a doppelganger for me. The closest thing that I ever had to that was whenever I was cosplaying pretty regularly. And I did Lightning from Final Fantasy 13. This girl in Germany did Lightning. And when we were both Lightning, we looked almost identical. But I never saw her out of her costume. But people swore up and down that this person looked like me and I looked like them. But other than that, like, I don't look like any celebrities, or I've never run into anyone that looks like me at all.
I've always gotten Tom Green.
Okay. Who do you think I look like? Do I look like anybody? Don't. No. No.
You look like my wife.
I've gotten people where, like, they say my personality is similar to other people's. Like, I've gotten Jenna Marbles in the past.
Yeah, I could see that.
I
believe you emulate her.
I've gotten a couple of other ones. I don't think I do, but...
I hear it. Because I've never experienced her before, and then when you started watching the videos of her,
It made sense.
Yeah, there's certain mannerisms you do that very much just sound like her.
Yeah, I don't do it on purpose if I do. The cats are on one right now. As soon as they've been sleeping all afternoon, and as soon as we go to record, they're on it. So I apologize if you hear them in the background. But I want to talk about one of the Odin just like trotted by.
If I'm distracted, don't mind me.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see if he doesn't.
Is he purring?
No.
Or just snorting?
That's his little snort. Odin, we're trying to work, honey, so we can afford your food. He's so cute. Anyways, cat distraction. We're back now. But I want to talk about one of the most popular, quote-unquote, documented series of doppelganger, like, happening in history.
Now you're talking about like people like now that look like people in the past?
No.
Because I've
like,
seen that too.
Yeah, I've seen that. That is a rabbit hole that I love to go down. Those TikToks where it's kind of like it shows
what's real and what's fake.
Them in history and
world.
then it's crazy. I love those. Those are rabbit holes I go down at like 3 o'clock in the morning when I wake up with insomnia. But I want to talk about Emily Saget. I had to look up how to pronounce the last name because it is French and I am very much
CG.
Southern American.
Oui, oui.
Southeastern American.
Baguette.
I actually wrote about Emily a while back. Please don't run over here and knock stuff down.
He will.
They're wildin'. But I read about her in a book that I got a few years ago talking about paranormal cases, like documented ones, you know what I mean? And it's where I derived the Wolfman, which both you and I reached the consensus that the Warrens just made money off of a very sick person. There's actually a hashtag going on where people are burning the Warrens a new butthole, and I'm living for it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But so this came from that same book, and then I did my own research, of course, on top of that. But I wrote about this in my old blog, and I saved it because I just think it's fascinating, so I'm going to share it. Are you ready?
Do the thing.
I'm going to do the thing. Also, if I pause at weird times, I'm sorry, my throat really hurts. When you think of doppelganger, you mostly think of people who look like celebrities or random strangers who look like the same person, because genetics are insane. Doppelganger is a German word meaning double goer or double walker, and supposedly we all have one. I have yet to meet mine, of course. There have been many cases of people meeting their look-alike, and it is usually followed with photos and funny memes. But in the case of Emily, her doppelganger was more of the paranormal origin. Let's take a look at the odd case of Emily Saget. Odin is lending his voice.
He's talking to his doppelganger.
Odin! Sometimes I think he's looking for Taz and Kiki. Because he just does that for no reason.
That's what Beans used to do too.
Yeah, Binks used to do that before we got... Yeah, Binks used to do that before we got Buddy. Anyways, Emily was described as a very intelligent and all-around pleasant young woman. She was a teacher in the 19th century who was more than qualified for her job. However, in her years of teaching, she had taken her 18th job in her 16 years of her career at the, I'm gonna butcher this, please forgive me, I'm gonna butcher it, Nieuwelke boarding school in 1845. It's a very strange word, see it?
Nieuwelke.
When the school hired her, they saw no issues and believed her to be a very wonderful teacher and a perfect fit. At first, that all held true, but it would soon take a supernatural turn. The doppelganger made its first appearance in a classroom as Emily was teaching. 13 students claimed her doppelganger appeared right at her side and imitated her movements. However, it was said while the specter looked like Emily, something in its movements were off and not quite right, making it all more eerie. Even though all of the children in the room could see the entity, it seemed as though Emily could not. In a later incident, the doppelganger appeared sitting in Emily's chair at the head of the classroom, seemingly watching over the class. Meanwhile, Emily herself was outside in the garden. Some students attempted to touch the apparitions, but their hand passed right through her. In their report, they claimed feeling a substance like a thick cloth as their hands slipped through. When confronted about this, Emily said while she was in the garden, she was thinking about watching the children. I just lost my place.
Watching the children.
Yeah. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Emily manifesting her own haunting? Because that is a phenomena that some people do believe is that you can manifest.
Astral projection.
You can manifest your own hauntings, which is sometimes what I think a lot of people tend to do. The phantom twin would also appear while the class went on walks together, often trailing behind the group at a distance, as well as indoors throughout the school. According to written accounts, the phantom was perceptible to all person without distinction of age or sex. Except, of course, for Saji herself. Or Saji herself, sorry. So, thinking on the paranormal side of this, was she creating her own haunting? There were cases where humans can and have created their own hauntings. The capability of the human mind is something that we really don't know a lot about. Like, we don't know what our minds are capable of.
What if she was just secretly a Tibetan monk and was just like screwing with people?
Who knew? When looking at the documentation, when Emily would think on something, like when she was in the garden, her unearthly twin would appear in her stead. Did Emily have the subconscious ability to put herself in another place? It was also said that when her doppelganger would appear, Emily would seem almost sluggish, as if the entity was sucking some of her energy. Was she capable of projecting and just unable to control it? Remember, when in that realm of the supernatural, it is all about intention, and Emily's intentions were always very strong when it came to her students. Another thing to note, most people who create their own hauntings can and usually will experience their own hauntings. Emily never saw her doppelganger. She couldn't consciously feel its presence. It is definitely something strange that people, through the years, have had a rough time explaining. I personally have so many questions for Emily if I could ask them. So, after the break, I'm going to kind of talk about what happened after these things kind of occurred, because now I've given some information and I've spit some knowledge as far as projection and things. So, we will be right back.
My goal was to not move the entire time.
He held that pose. Wow.
I used this opportunity to practice my facial expressions.
Okay. Soon enough, word had gotten back to the parents of the children who attended the school. Once letters of concern reached the ears of the head of the school. They have a specific name for it.
It's Dom Perignon.
I'm not
France.
I'm not gonna try to say it.
Well, I took French for at least I failed it after 3 months, but where's it at?
I didn't put it in here.
Oh, well, that's obviously why you can't pronounce it.
They were forced to relieve Emily of her position for fear of parents taking their children out of the school.
That's dumb.
While Emily was saddened by this, it seemed as though she was used to it and had been down this road before. She gathered her belongings and headed out once more. During my research, it was difficult to say what happened to her after this kind of more famous incident.
She became the best bank robber.
Some say she retired and went to live on a farm. Others say she continued teaching, moving from school to school. Whatever the case,
Well, imagine how much
it makes one wonder if others outside of the school ever came across her twin.
Imagine how much like farm work you get done if you just like, you're like, yeah, I'm planting carrots, but I'm really thinking about tending to the celery. And she's just over there like going ham on the celery, and you're just like, nice, now let me tend these carrots.
I think that this paranormal case is terrifying, but it's also extremely fascinating.
I have a theory.
What is your... We'll go with your theory, then we'll go with mine.
It's actually her twin sister that she absorbed in the womb.
Oh.
Who's haunting her.
There's
And
actually...
then
Go ahead.
and then when she thinks about stuff, it's actually the absorbed brainwaves of her sister. So her sister's actually there and is not very good at matching movements. So
I see. You know, there's actually a documented paranormal case of that.
damn, I'm good.
But it's not Emily.
That's because she disappeared to her farm robbing of banks. In the farm plan.
I feel bad for Emily because she seemed like she was probably a very sweet person. The kids loved her. And then all the creepy stuff happened and she just kept having to go place to place to place to place. It's interesting. This type of paranormal phenomena is actually still pretty common present day wise. There are cases of quote unquote doppelganger paranormal encounters where someone has manifested their own self as a haunting. Yeah. And they can't see it or they don't see it.
That's why she can't see her sister. She's done absorbed.
I mean, I don't know. And part of me sometimes wonders if this is hogwash and it was just a story made up to get rid of Emily because she may not have fit in with the culture of the school, you know? But it is very much a talked about thing that I found interesting anyways. I would love to sit, if I ever had an opportunity, I would love to sit down with her and just ask her questions. Like, did she ever feel anything? Binks. She knocked over the laundry basket. That's her favorite thing to do. Sorry for your ears, everyone, if you're listening. Anyways,
she's one with the basket now.
She is one with the basket now. But she's just in there, like, looking out, like, oh, hey, everybody. Brats.
She's about to ask what time it is and for a roll of TP. She's playing inmate.
But, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I would want to ask if she ever felt any cold spots, if she ever had any dreams, or, you know, when she did feel this sluggish, was she projecting herself, like, in her mind, was she seeing herself sitting in the classroom? Do you know what I mean? Was she really that talented in a psychic sense where she could project herself? You know what I mean? Think of, 11 Stranger Things moment. But it's just kind of backwards because she couldn't see herself and the other people could see her. Like when she went to the grocery store and she really wanted to go down the bread aisle, but she was with the milk. Was she in the bread aisle too? Like, who knows?
I need to do that, but run 2 different routes at the same time and get paid for them both.
Just have your own routes. Binks.
Don't you knock over that cardboard.
Oh, Lord, she's acting out. Let me know what you guys think of the curious case of Emily and what your thoughts are. I mean, it could very well be a bunch of BS, like I said, that the school kind of made up because she may not have fit in there. But I also think that it could actually be something very interesting. I wish I could find more research on it.
Where's she at? She watching?
She's passed, honey.
How do we know?
It was a long time ago. Oh, man.
If she could project herself, what if she projected herself to the now time?
She'd probably be very disappointed.
I know I am.
But I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I have to lean on you because my back hurts.
Lean on me when your back hurts.
Sorry for looking like the mess that I look like today.
I'm beautiful, as
you
always.
are beautiful as always. Beautiful as always. I hope that you guys are having a decently good holiday season. We're trying to in our own way. Burying ourselves in Assassin's Creed and The Sims.
At the same time.
To make it...
We're assassinating The Sims.
Yes. And I do want to put a disclaimer out there. If you or someone you know is going through a hard time, I'm not going to sit here and drop the suicide hotline because it can flash before your eyes all day as someone who has dealt with that. It doesn't make me want to call it anymore. So if you or someone you love is going through a hard time, reach out. Friends, reach out to one another and tell each other that you love one another. Especially this time of year, suicide rates typically spike because of stress and loneliness and depression and anxiety. It's like a real thing. We know from firsthand. So if you ever need anyone to talk to, just hit us up. You can hit me up on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, and I'll sit and listen to you all day. Yeah.
She might even comment back.
I try my best. I really do. But thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you for the next episode. Bye. Wow. Oh my God.